Yeah, you want to talk Mets?
Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, starting out with Nolan McLean at the top, right-handed pitcher, one of the better pitching prospects in baseball. Carson Benge has just continued to be really, really good. An outfielder, first-round pick from 2024. I think it's a nice collection of power arms in this system, and also up the middle bats and even the bats that are not up the middle profiles. I think there are reasons to be really excited about what they can do offensively. I was just pulling some data for the hitters in each of these systems, and it's impressive the number of hitters in the Met system that kind of land at the top of the list here when you're looking at just under the hood metrics, expected weighted on base average, guys like Carson Bench, Jacob Reimer, Ryan Clifford, AJ Ewing, they all rate really well in sort of these advanced offensive metrics. So I think there's a good combination of proximity, impact pitching talent, and impact hitting talent. It's a really well-rounded system in my mind.
Probably 6 guys who end up being top 100 prospects or in that conversation. You could maybe expand it beyond that too, but I just think it's a really strong top 10. You think Nolan McLean has a chance to be a number 1 starter or more of a number 2? I mean, the stuff I mean, the fastball,
Hmm.
breaking ball is electric. The way he looked when he came up was really,
Yeah.
really exciting.
I mean, we have him graded. Matt Eddy, in particular, has him graded kind of right on the fringe of a number one or number two. He's got a 65 high grade, which put him like in the ballpark, like with the stuff to be there. He's got 3+ pitches in addition to a 70 grade sweeper. I guess if he can become a number one, will ultimately depend on like what does the command get to. It's fine right now. I think he probably doesn't have the typical command you would associate with an ace. And so maybe that's the one question mark that you have. I mean, it's a repeatable delivery. There's no reason for me to think that like he can't continue to make strides in the control department. He does have the two-way background, and maybe you could say that oh he's like more new to pitching or focusing on pitching full time than the typical prospect of his age at this level, but he certainly has the stuff to be a number one. And in my mind, maybe he's more like a number two that maybe pitches like a number one occasionally, but it's just so hard to confidently go out and say, yeah, we project this guy to be a legit number one. I don't know how many pitching prospects like I've felt comfortable saying that with. I don't know about you.
I think he could be. Yeah, I mean, I think the part about command is fair, but I also think that's something that he can like, it's not like he's wild. I don't think
No,
that's the case with
no.
him. It's not like, where Jacob Misiorowski was, a year ago, where we're like, "Oh, is he ever
Yeah.
gonna throw enough strikes?" Like, no, he throws enough strikes. It just isn't gonna be, like you said, number 1
Right. Yeah. And
type.
if me talking about him made it seem like I thought his command or control was bad, I did not mean to uh like give that off. It's mostly just like the number ones have great command, not just good or solid command.
No, I think he has a very strong case to be the best pitching prospect in baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy to say, just given what he was as a prospect coming out of college. I mean, I'm always on the beat the drum of stop being a two-way player when you're in college and focus on what you're better at. But Nolan McLean was like seriously a hitting prospect when he was in college and was kind of like a part-time pitcher that just had this wipe out pure stuff and great arm talent. I was very, very excited about the sort of pitcher he could be if he just focused on pitching. I never would have thought we'd be talking about him as a potential top pitching prospect in the game and number two starter. That he's far exceeded my expectations for what he could do if he stopped hitting, but it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I love their top 2 pitching prospects with him, Jonah Tong. I really
Hmm.
like Jonah Tong, 162 strikeouts in 102 innings in Double A.
Yeah.
Comes at you with that fastball from straight over the top, so that helps him get that big carry, 19, 20 inches of IVB on
Hmm.
that fastball, a lot of ride to miss bats. Oh, and then it's sitting 94, 96, touching
Hmm.
98. So that combination of the velocity, especially the movement on that pitch, and he gets very good extension out front too. That gets a lot of swing and miss. His changeup, which is a pitch that I talked about earlier in the year being an underrated pitch. I don't I don't think it's underrated anymore, but it is
No.
still a plus pitch. He sells it really well off his fastball. It's 10 miles an hour separation, sink, fade, misses a lot of bats. I actually think now his curveball has become the underrated part of his repertoire. It's tight spin, 2600 plus RPM. It's that big breaking curve with a lot of depth to it. 45% miss rate on that pitch when he was in the minor leagues, which is very high. Not quite as high as his changeup, but it did seem like the curveball early in the year was really good, and then as the year went on, wasn't missing as many bats. The pitch is still there, and overall, the results against it were great. The problem is that he just the execution of it is not consistent within the strike zone. He doesn't land it as often as he needs to.
Hmm.
And even if it's, if you're freezing a hitter with a curveball, but it's a ball, like that doesn't help you out. But the
Right.
raw pitch itself, I think, is still there and maybe a little bit underappreciated now just because of, I know the results weren't great in his very brief big league call up at the
Hmm.
end of the year, but like the the fastball, the changeup.
Yeah.
Um, I really like the curveball too. Obviously, I think the command still needs to get tightened up, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're right about the breaking ball, then I'll probably wind up being a little too low on Jonah Tong. I'm certainly lower on him than you are. I just have questions about pitch diversity in his arsenal. I mean, he used the fastball changeup combination almost 90% of the time, which I just think is not it's not a varied enough arsenal. I mean, he's consistently had control question marks. He's always had a walk rate north of 10% throughout his minor league career. I'm just uncertain of like how much better that actually gets, and I'm just lower on what the breaking stuff is right now. I mean, maybe it's a pitch that improves, like you said. You're more bullish on it, and you think it's underrated. Maybe I'm underrating it, but I just wonder like if those pitches don't take a step forward, if he is just so dependent on the four seam fastball and the changeup, and if the strikes are this scattered, I'm a little skeptical of like what the upside is. I mean, he threw the changeup for strikes 67% of the time in the minor leagues. Beyond that, everything that he threw was fringy strikes, and non-fastball changeup secondaries for him were like very erratic in terms of location. So I think he has a long way to go in terms of throwing those pitches and just showing that they can be usable more than 15% of the time in any capacity, whether it's a curveball, whether it's a slider, just another wrinkle to his arsenal I would like to see before I'm all in. But I certainly think he's still a solid top 100 prospect.
Yeah, to me, top 50. You think that's too rich? Because I'd have him up there.
I don't know. As we kind of go through this process and talk through more players, and I get a better feel for like what my top 50 would actually be, I might have a strong take. Like right around that range feels like it's fair. Hard for me to say with any certainty at this point. You would have him definitely top 50 or right around 50, or
Yeah,
how high are you pushing him?
he'd be definitely top 50 for me.
I think he probably would be more in the 50 plus range for me, but again, I guess we'll see if there are fewer prospects around the league that I actually like. I don't know if I even have like I mean earlier in the year I mentioned starter reliever questions. Like a 10% walk rate is not a good walk rate for a starting pitcher. Um so yeah, I don't know.
What
Who else in the
about
system?
Carson Bench? Great
Man,
pick. I mean, him and
you were way higher on him at draft day than I was. I think you and Peter Flaherty were both really high. I was a little bit more
yeah,
suspect on just the swing itself. Like I thought it was just kind of funky, too many moving parts. But I mean, he's been good in all areas, well-rounded profile, good hitting ability, power, runs well enough, good fielder, good arm, like pretty well-rounded. I would much rather have Benge than Tong. I'll say that. That's the order that we have here. I don't know if you're high enough on Tong that you would personally have it flipped, but Benge is definitely a player that I can easily get excited about.
yeah, it's close. It's close for me.
Hmm.
It was a great pick. I mean, Bench and Trey Savage were those are my two favorite picks last year in the first round. Outside the team's top pick in the top 10. Like, yeah, I mean, I like you're not getting Nick Kurtz and you're not getting Chase Burns when you're picking
Right.
19th or 20th. But he had a great year. Yeah, he was great in high A, he was great in double A. Slowed down when he got to triple A, but there was nothing there that happened where I'm like, oh, this is cause for long-term concern. But tracks pitches well, recognizes pitches out of the hand pretty early. He's got great plate discipline, works his walks. You're right. I mean, the swing itself has some unorthodox
Yep.
moves. He sets up wide open
Yeah.
and then he closes himself all the way with the way his leg kick works and then
Mm-hmm.
swings it back. But
at this point, I don't care. I think he's shown that it just works for him, you know?
yeah, and he has really good hand-eye coordination. It's
Mm-hmm.
so good, so you don't see him swing and miss much, and he hits the ball hard. Um, he does he hit for huge power in games right now? Like, no, I mean 15 home runs in 116 games. Although once he got away from Brooklyn, which is just murder on left-handed pull power, hit 8 home runs in 32 games in double A. But his approach is very much to just rely on that barrel accuracy and use the opposite field without a lot of waft, which that is starting to change because I think the Mets see the same thing that we do, which is that there's a good foundation of a
Mm-hmm.
hitter there with untapped power potential. Once he learns to get that barrel out front earlier on certain pitches to try to pull in the air for power, because when he does swing, when he does make contact, it's hard contact, and I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
it's 70 raw power, but if you look at just among prospects in the Mets organization, like prospects, so not your 27-year-old journeyman in
Mm-hmm.
AAA, his 90th percentile exit velocity is higher than anyone except for Ryan Clifford and and Randy Guzman, who's this like 6'4" hulking
Mm-hmm.
first base corner outfielder in low A. So if he figures out how to do that, we'll see. I'm optimistic that he will.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can be a 3 to 4 win type player.
Agreed. I mean, I pulled just the hitting stats for all the players inside the top 10 that we have data for this year, and Carson Benge's expected weighted on base average was the best of that group. It's a 21 player group, and him and Jacob Reimer, also in the Mets system, were at the very top of that leaderboard. So just a great combination of contact ability, pitch selection, impact, like you mentioned, the angles probably could be improved if you want to see more power. But again, we say this a lot with these like pure hitter types who spray the ball across the field and are going to hit the gas for doubles. Like, I don't necessarily think you need to change the approach fully to just have him turn into this extreme pull heavy fly ball type. Like, if he naturally gets to some more home runs by trying to selectively hunt some pitches he can do damage with, great. And if not, I think he'll have more than enough extra base ability to have a respectable slugging percentage and just be a very well-rounded hitter who also does things for you defensively. I mean, do you have a specific thought on whether he's a definite center fielder or a definite corner outfielder, and does the maybe power question mark change how you would feel about him depending on that defensive role, or are you bullish on him regardless of where he's playing in the field?
I think it's more likely to be corner. We
Yeah.
have him as an average runner. I think it's really hard to be an average runner and play center field in the big leagues unless you have
Hmm.
insane instincts because there's just too many other guys who have good defensive instincts in center field, and they're also like 70 or 80 runners. So,
Yeah.
um, but if you put him in a corner outfield, I think he still profiles really well there to be that,
Hmm.
again, 3 to 4 win type guy.
Agreed. Okay. Any other guys you want to mention here? I mean, I'd like to touch on Jonathan Santucci at some point, but he's 10th on the list. So if there are any particular players you want to hit on before we get to there, feel free. I know AJ Ewing is always a player you're a big fan of as well. So there are some Badler favorites in this top 10.
AJ Ewing was an outstanding draft pick by the Mets. They got him in the 4th round out of an Ohio high school in 2023, and he only signed for $675,000. So it wasn't some, 1 million,
Hmm.
$2 million, huge overslot deal.
Yeah.
I thought it was a steal at the time. I thought he could have fit as like a second round pick if somebody wanted to take him there. And I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. There were a lot of teams that stopped scouting AJ Ewing in the spring of his draft year. I remember speaking with a scout that spring, and he said, "Yeah, I like AJ Ewing," but there was one day where he went to see him. He's like, I was the only scout there at the game. I think there was an event the summer before where maybe he rubbed some scouts the wrong way with their perception, I would say, of his, makeup or maturity. And I hate even like talking about that unless there's
Right.
something highly specific, because I think a lot of it is just nonsense or
Yeah. Well, I think your
bias
point here
or
is that like a lot of people allowed it to their perception of that to steer them in the wrong direction on the decision
yeah.
here.
And it was wrong. AJ Ewing is a great prospect, and a lot of teams just missed the boat on this guy. And there were a handful of teams that were in on him, and obviously the Mets were one. And credit to the Mets, because AJ Ewing looks great. I mean, it's 20-year-old left-handed hitter, good swing, high contact guy, good plate discipline, plus speed. He was in Double A this year. The components are there to be a high OBP guy. Not the power, at least not right now. But he's also not like just like a little slap and dash guy either. He does make quality contact. The EVs were up to 111 miles an hour this year.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was only 3 home runs this year, and some of that is just because he played in Brooklyn, which is brutal for left-handed hitters. But I think some of it is just that he's still learning, kind of like Benj, which pitches to try to ambush or get the head out front on, to try to pull the ball in the air. Because right now it's more of an all fields approach, to the point where more of his balls in the air go the opposite way than they do to the pull side, which also, like you said, not necessarily a bad thing, but he does hit the ball hard enough to where he ultimately could show more home run juice once he
Hmm.
learns which pitches to try to pull for damage. Probably not like a 25 plus future home run guy like Carson Benge is going to have more power than AJ Ewing.
Hmm.
Um, but I think there's some more untapped power potential in there. And he's a former shortstop who still does get some time in the infield. They'll play him at second base, but he's out in center field playing a premium position, and the
Yep.
speed plays really well out there.
Yeah, it sounds like the defense has been really good in center field. Obviously, a great runner. The jumps sound like they've improved. They've improved as he's gotten more experience. He's got above average arm strength. So even if like the Mets at the point where he's contributing at the major league level have some lockdown center fielder, the fact that he could play all three outfield positions and play corners, maybe even to a plus level, have versatility to play shortstop, second base. I don't know if he's gotten exposure to third base, but I assume if he can play short and second with the arm that he has, that he could be able to fill in at third in a pinch as well. That versatility is massively valuable. But yeah, I just like seeing swing decisions on base ability. He's been a menace on the bases. I don't know if you expect him to be a consistent base stealing threat in the future. I would expect him to be, and think that continues.
Yeah.
There's a lot, unless you just like really need all of your prospects to hit for a lot of power. AJ Ewing is like, we're kind of praising the entirety of the game here as we go down the report.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Ryan Clifford power, and Ryan
Right.
Clifford has 70 power and
Yeah.
draws a lot of walks
It's
too.
also not a
But
Ryan Clifford hit tool or glove. So you take it, and you take some and you leave some.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Ryan Clifford is a guy who's, I don't know. It's like that's a good player to have as like toward the back of your top 10. A guy who's got
Hmm.
70 power, drew 85 walks this year. Strikeouts are high, but not like Spencer Jones high either. Yeah, it's first base or maybe a not so great left fielder, right fielder, but guy who's just knocking on the door.
I mean, I like Jacob Reimer as well. I mean, I mentioned that his just batted ball data was really good. He's dealt with some injuries. Sounds like he's starting to tap into the power a little bit more frequently. Jonathan Santucci at the back end of this list is kind of a bit of a wild card for me. I really want to like Jonathan Santucci because I've just seen him so good when he's throwing all three pitches. the fastball command and like what the depth of the arsenal is actually going to be are two big questions. He throws the slider a ton. It's a very good pitch. I wish he was a little bit less reliant on that pitch, because I know when Santucci has struggled, it's been because he just can't locate the fastballs for strikes, and hitters sit on the slider. And so the slider backs up because hitters are expecting it. There's nothing else to really challenge him. The control did improve, which I think is really good to see. The Mets have done some really nice things on the pitching development front in recent years. So he's a guy that I was just happy to see in the back of this top 10. The athleticism and the pure arm talent are fascinating to me. Striking out 30% of the batters that he faced this year was solid. So yeah, just if he can add a little bit more to the arsenal, show a little bit more fastball command, I'll be ready to jump fully in with Santucci.
Yeah, Santucci, Jack Weninger, two good arms who've had success in Double A at the back of this list. I think the one guy we got questions on about who wasn't on the list was Elian Peña, their big international signing from this year, who was great in the DSL. Questions asking why he wasn't on the top 10. I like Peña a lot. You can make a case for him to be on the list, but I think it's a really strong top 10 to be able
Mm-hmm.
to crack right now. Yeah, again, like 6 probably top 100 players, at least in
Yeah.
that conversation, and then 7 to 10, all of those guys have been in Double A or Triple A with Clifford,
Yeah.
Reimer, two guys who've either previously been on the top 100 or who we've already had in top 100 conversations. Santucci and Weininger being already in Double A, pitching well there. Payne
Yep.
is just a lot riskier if you wanted to bet on the position player more so than the pitcher. I think you can make a case for Pena being in the top 10. He certainly has more positional value compared to Ryan Clifford. But now you're talking about a 17-year-old in the DSL versus a guy who's had success in Double A and is one step away from the big league. So I think you could put Elian Pena in the top 10, and I could see him joining the top 100
Mm-hmm.
at some point, maybe even next year, because he after a really and famously in our obviously like narrow universe, like I don't think it made like the front page of the New York Times or anything, but after a really rough start for him, he ended up with one of the better OPS marks in the league. Good left-handed swing, which pretty good left-handed swing. It gets a little bit steep. It can get him in trouble, but it's good ability to maneuver the barrel, make a lot of contact. He knows the strike zone. He hit for big home run power in his first year out, and um, I don't know. I guess I also just want to dispel this notion that that's this nonsense idea that somehow Baseball America doesn't like Elian Pena. Like if you're saying that, I don't know. I think you've obviously never read my work. I think I've covered Elian Pena more than anyone at BA or outside of BA. But um, I I think there's like some thought that like because Josh on his DSL prospect ranking had him at number 25, that somehow that's like some strong sign of hate or whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't want to like speak for him, but it is a top prospects list. Like if he wasn't a good prospect, he wouldn't be on a
Right.
top prospects list, especially in a league of like 1,000 plus players. So like, am I higher? Sure. Like, yeah. But I think if you're a scout going in to see Elian Pena and you're expecting to see Francisco Lindor 2.0 or some great defender at shortstop, you're going to come away disappointed. But that's just because your expectations were not in line with reality for the player. Like if in a perfect world scenario, you're hoping Elian Pena turns into Rafael Devers. So I don't know, like what about Rafael Devers would make anyone think that this is somebody you should expect to be a great defender at
Right.
shortstop. I think we've always said he's an offensive oriented shortstop who's likely to go to third base, should continue to get the chance at shortstop because always surprises. I'm sure we'll talk about one of them when we get to the Phillies later, but maybe an outside chance at second base, but it's always hard to dial that in with precision when these players are 16 or 17 years
Yeah.
old, especially as amateurs. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good prospect. And when you have a guy like that outside your top 10, just another sign that the farm system is in a pretty strong spot.
Yeah, we had the Mets at number 9 on our midseason talent rankings. Would you expect them to rank higher than that in the same range? I mean, as we're talking through
Higher.
the system, yeah, that's my intuition as well. As we're talking through the system, I've also come fully on board with you. I would take the Mets over the Marlins because I do think the biggest gap between them is once you get past 4 on the Marlins list, like basically everyone on this Mets list is a lot more exciting.